Tom Fitton, the president of the Judicial Watch, is my guest. Good morning, Mr. Fitton. Great to talk to you again. And I want to start with the Comey memos, which he would take these personal memos. He's leaked some of them, or someone close to Comey has leaked many of them to the press. It's estimated that half of these memos contain classified information. That's not an exaggeration. Literally half of the memos would have classified info on them. Could you get us the key details on this story and what could be done about it? Is he in legal jeopardy for this situation?
Well, at least he ought to be under a legal investigation because of this. You're not allowed, to take government records from a government agency without permission, especially as an outgoing employee. And one of the reasons someone's in a sensitive position like Comey isn't supposed to do that is because the material could be sensitive or classified, and evidently it was. So you're supposed to keep that material in a secure location. You're not allowed to take it away from that secure location. You're not allowed to share it with anyone who's not classified, who doesn't have the proper clearances or doesn't have the right to see it, even if he does have the proper clearances. So there are all sorts of potential crimes Mr. Comey committed for which he needs to be seriously investigated.
Yeah. So what do you think happens in this story? Do you think that an investigation takes place? The president has been so reluctant to investigate his political opponents thus far. We have been extremely critical of this at Breitbart. Your opinion?
Well, unfortunately, the president is stuck with a special counsel who purportedly will have to cover issues like this unless they're going to appoint someone else to investigate Comey. But this shows you the sort of rule of law crisis created by the appointment of Mueller as special counsel, a friend of Mr. Comey, who, despite all appearance issues, continues to rely on Mr. Comey as a witness and doesn't think his friendship gets in the way of any investigation. Here's a classic example of this is why it would.
How did Mr. Mueller get appointed to this position when there's such a clear conflict of interest? Why didn't he decline it? How is his name even considered? It's truly unbelievable. It's an unbelievable wrinkle to this saga.
Well, in many ways, it was Rosenstein's mistake. But secondly, I think the question has to be asked about the circumstances of the appointment. Did Rosenstein know that Comey's intent was to take these memos and leak them in order to get a special counsel appointed? And did he have in mind Mr. Mueller? Mr. Mueller needs to be asked, did he know that Comey had specifically took and leaked these memos in order to get him appointed? Frankly, the whole thing should be called off as a result of what Comey did, in addition to the other constitutional deficiencies of having someone like Mueller as special counsel who doesn't have any of the proper authorities granted to him under the law, meaning, U.S. attorneys prosecute people and the powers are granted as a result of, being subject to some sort of accountable process. They're confirmed by the Senate, appointed by the president. In this case, Mueller's neither appointed nor confirmed by the Senate. And he's on a day-to-day basis answerable to no one who is. It's constitutionally infirm the way the regulations are set up.
So let me ask you about some of the spin that's coming out. Not surprisingly, CNN has made the talking point that no memos given to Comey's friend were marked classified. Does this matter to you?
Well, as a matter of law, it doesn't make a difference. Either the material is classified or not, whether it's marked or unmarked, is not relevant. Comey understands that. And so it's just a distraction. It doesn't matter if it's marked or unmarked. It may matter legally for the person receiving the information, but I don't even think so. Because, if you're outside of government, you're not obligated to protect information like that necessarily. But especially if it's unmarked, you're not in a position to know one way or another. But Mr. Comey is not helped one way or another by whether it's marked or unmarked. He's responsible for maintaining classified information, both marked and unmarked. If that were the case, you could have all sorts of leaks and criminal activity and espionage with, quote, unmarked classified information.
Yeah, and one story that you guys were involved in that's come out on Fox News yesterday, the FBI, a new dump of documents revealed that the secrets of the Clinton probe, really what ended up happening is the Obama Justice Department and the FBI mishandled the Clinton probe at such a sensational level. Could you talk to us a little bit about these new documents and what they show?
Well, the documents show that it looks like Clinton lawyers gave them some supposedly Clinton communications devices like BlackBerries and such, or phones, and the memory cards were taken from them. The SID cards were taken from them. So they were effectively wiped, and it looks like the FBI, based on the documents, didn't really care much about that. But this just shows you that the FBI wasn't really being run by the independent-oriented law enforcement officials, or was this a political investigation? And were they just another arm of the Clinton campaign?
So do you think that anything that Donald Trump Jr. in the latest Russia saga has done is anything beyond what would be standard procedure for, let's say, a Democrat on a campaign trail, or is this something that does rise to the level as Tim Kaine and other CNN commentators have described as treason?
They think Trump committed treason even, back in 2016 when he wanted to run for president. The throw around the phrase treason is just crazy talk. It's a political issue. You don't want to be seen, or I think it's typically a bad idea to meet with foreign nationals in the context of trying to find out information about your opponent. But there are no legal issues. There are some political issues here. But the idea that it's treason or such really just heightens the fact that there is no legal issue here.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be any legal issue at all. But even the political fallout, do you think that many people in the Trump voter base care very much about this, especially considering all that we've learned about Hillary Clinton and the efforts the Obama administration and the media went to protect her when her connections with Russia are so well documented?
Well, that's politically treacherous territory, you're right to point out, Alex, for President Trump's fanatic opposition. That, even, for instance, with the Comey testimony, it was all supposed to be about how terrible President Trump was to fire this nice FBI director, and it quickly became about, well, what happened at that Bill Clinton, Loretta Lynch meeting that James Comey had so much concern about. So the more we talk about Russia involvement in our political system, you can't avoid the elephant in the room of money being laundered into the Clinton Foundation from Russian sources, money given personally to Bill Clinton while Mrs. Clinton is Secretary of State from Russian-connected sources, and then, of course, the partnership that people like John Podesta had with the Russians directly in business.
Yeah, and ironically, of course, Donald Trump Jr. thought he would be getting information on Hillary's Russian connections. So that's the cosmic irony that you will never see talked about in CNN or MSNBC. We only have a minute left. Tom Fitton, president of Judicial Watch. Check him out he's got a great Twitter. You also go to judicialwatch.org. In the brief time we have left, any thoughts on the Chris Kobach Election Commission and the left's attack on it? Just really has in the gun sights in an amazing way.
Well, the left wants to be able to steal elections if necessary, and anyone who gets in the way, including legitimate government commissions seeking information that's publicly available, need to be attacked. The vociferous opposition to any efforts to maintain our nation's election integrity kind of highlights exactly where these hardcore leftists are coming from. They don't want to remove dirty names from the rolls. They don't want voter ID. They don't want citizenship verification. So, in many ways, the threats from election integrity, obviously, we don't want foreign nationals, messing around with our election systems and trying to hack our systems. But we have this domestic opposition that would make it really easy because of the policies they propose and and the sort of hatred of anyone who asks questions about these policies would result in election fraud.